General Hertling, thanks so much for joining us. Just how significant is this? How worried are you for the surviving Ukrainian fighters in Russian control?
Well, if we can't believe anything Russia has said in terms of the treatment of prisoners thus far, because they have not done so, they have shown us what they are. But secondly, what I'd say in terms of the fighters in Mariupol, they have done a masterful job in terms of delaying and distracting Russian forces. Estimates are that somewhere between 12 and 14,000 Russian troops were involved in that action, trying to maintain the logistics supply from Rostov in Russia all the way to Odessa. And it took them almost 2 months out of their norm that they could not allow the Russian troops to move further north into the Donbass area to fight. So this action by the Ukrainian forces in the Azovstal plant, even though it was very troublesome and very worrying, a lot of casualties and a horrible condition, it really saved a lot of Ukrainians' lives if they pinned down those forces in that plant.
I also want to get your reaction, General Hertling, to part of what was said by a former Russian colonel on Russian state television on Monday. Listen to this.
Let's not wave about rockets in Finland's direction. This just looks ridiculous. The biggest flaw in our military and political situation is that we are in total geopolitical solitude, and the whole world is against us, even if we don't want to admit it. And we need a way out of this situation.
What did you think of that? Let's get a little reality check breaking through the Putin propaganda right now. What did you think of that statement from this former Russian colonel on Russian state TV?
Well, in listening to the entire clip, Wolf, that was just a small segment of it where he was dashing Putin's desires to divide NATO. It was a strategic implication. But I happened to listen to the entire speech by Colonel Khodorkovsky, and what he basically did was a damning combination of every aspect of the Russian attack, from the tactical competencies of the soldiers and the generals to the operational design of the fight to the strategic requirements that Putin put on his forces. They were not capable of achieving those kinds of strategic goals across the front. And many of us saw that from the very beginning when you're talking about only allocating 190,000 soldiers, which seems a lot. But when you're talking about allocating them along 7 different axes of advance, along a frontage of almost 1,400 miles, with different military objectives to seize and secure cities of over 1 million, in one case, 3 million Ukrainian population, it's just not capable of coming true. And I think Colonel Khodorkovsky actually nailed it from the standpoint of addressing each one of Putin's strategic and operational and tactical implications on this.